Hello everyone, welcome to episode 4 of HorrorHouse, the new horror podcast, I should say, for all you horror lovers out there. Today I am joined by a guest, all the way from New York State, fellow horror lover, and all-round great girl, Kimber Barrett.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
So, today we thought we would talk about horror movies by non-horror directors, or those directors we don't usually associate with the genre. This topic was chose by our lovely guest, and so does she want to start with one of hers?
Sure, I guess I'm gonna probably start with the obvious, and go with my favorite director, with Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
And talk about what he did with The Shining.
Yes. That was top of my list.
That movie. Yeah, amazing movie. Arguably one of his best.
Definitely.
I guess I would mostly consider his best work also within the science fiction genre, so it was cool to see him step out and do some horror as well.
Oh yeah, I always say Kubrick was almost perfect in a lot of genres, pretty much every genre really. If you go in,
sure.
Even comedy satire with stuff like Doctor Strangelove, like you say,
Absolutely.
sci-fi 2001, War, Full Metal Jacket, Paths of Glory, stuff like that. And then horror with Shining. Obviously,
Yeah, it's easily one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely he took his liberties with Stephen King's source material.
Yes.
And kind of made it his own.
Yeah,
which you would expect him to do.
Stephen King has never liked the film, has he?
That's insane to me.
I know.
I guess it's not my story, so I don't have that same feeling. He might be picturing it a completely different way, but personally, I love what Kubrick did.
Oh yeah, it was one of the first horror films I actually fell in love with when I first got into film, really.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And Jack Nicholson's performance is terrifying.
That'll go down for decades, even now. It's, 36 years old now. So...
Yeah, absolutely. He's had a lot of amazing performances, but I think that might be his most iconic one.
Yeah, it definitely stands out above pretty much all others. Maybe One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as the other one. But,
absolutely.
Yeah. Of course, yeah, Kubrick, I sometimes like to think if dead celebrities like Kubrick had Twitter, I think his bio would be quite simply just perfect in every genre.
Yeah. Nice, yeah, and I think, The Shining stands out amongst other horror movies because his aesthetic was so unique, and he never really did anything else like The Shining, so it's one of a kind.
Oh, definitely, yeah, it's got so much sort of depth to it, and in, symbolism and all that sort of thing. There's been so many conspiracies surrounding The Shining, and the whole was, did The Shining have clues to him faking the moon landing and all that?
As well as a lot of, Native American symbolism.
Yes. Yeah, The Shining, it was the obvious one to go for this topic, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, okay, I'm gonna move us on to another one, and one that maybe, while it's a great horror film, I'm more interested in this, with this discussion by the director, and that's The Haunting from 1963, directed by Robert Wise, who was the guy behind The Sound of Music, West Side Story, and Star Trek the Motion Picture. which I find bizarre if he directed The Haunting before all those, because The Haunting is such a, it's like with The Shining and Kubrick, it's very aesthetic in the way it goes about creating its horror.
You could almost say it's haunting.
Yes, very nice.
It's cool that you had that one. I didn't have him on my list. So, but I do have some surprising ones.
Oh,
you
well,
wouldn't
that's
believe,
good.
like, you wouldn't believe some of the other movies that these people made with these excellent horror also,
Yeah, I know. This one just really stood out to me because of those two sort of huge musicals in Sound of Music and West Side Story, and then to have The Haunting in his filmography as well.
And then it's interesting that they choose to do a horror movie, but when they do it well, it's impressive.
Oh yeah, that's what I expect most of these people were going to bring up. That's really, when they do their horror film, it's just really great. And maybe they've only done one, but, they know how to do it.
Yeah, I think it's almost better when they only do one and do it well, because it doesn't ruin the reputation of the one good horror movie they did,
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, The Haunting, I think I've only seen it once, but I just remember it being very sort of creepy, not one of those that relies on monsters or special effects. It was a low budget thing that just relied on, lighting and camera angles and acting, really basic sort of horror things, but it just really works so well.
Yeah, but that's when a director can really show their skill, if they can do it with only lighting,
definitely. Definitely. Okay, did you have another one?
I did. I'm going to go ahead and start out with some of the bigger names.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and pick Peter Jackson.
Yes.
From Lord of the Rings fame.
Yep.
He started out making sort of low-budget horror movies out of New Zealand.
Yes.
A couple of the ones he did were called Dead Alive, which is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I love Dead Alive.
And he did another one called Bad Taste. Oh yeah, that scene with the lawnmower.
Yeah, it's yeah.
And it's so interesting because you can't get any different than starting out with Dead Alive and then making something like the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
No, and yeah,
so polished,
that's another really quite strange one because, Peter Jackson to, general moviegoers is Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and King Kong. Yeah. And that's what he'll be known for. And these are, huge special effects, CGI, like you say, really polished films. And to start off as this sort of low-budget horror guy with such gore fests as Dead Alive.
Oh, totally.
It's quite...
I would recommend them to anyone.
Oh, yeah.
They're so charming. They have so much charm in them with the cast that he gets in there, with the low budget, everything, and the scenery that's beautiful around it. They're really great. I love Dead Alive and Bad Taste.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Peter Jackson. To look at him now, you just wouldn't think horror director, but starting off doing these great ones, he should be known as he should be known as one.
I'm almost glad he didn't go back and try to do like a super Hollywood polished horror movie, because I feel like it would kind of take away from what he did before,
Yeah, definitely. To make something so, like you say, low budget and charming, to have loads of money thrown at that would ruin it, really. Oh, that was just...
Yeah, absolutely. I respect his decision to not go that route.
Yeah, definitely. Okay,
So do you have another one?
Yes, of course. I want to talk about what I often tell people is my favourite religious-based horror film, The Omen.
Good one.
From 76. Maybe this is sort of blasphemy in the horror world, but I always say that I prefer The Omen to The Exorcist.
Oh my.
Yeah, I really do.
That's big words. I have a lot of love for The Exorcist. That's hard for me to say, but The Omen is an amazing movie, no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, coming from Richard Donner,
yeah.
You know, the guy behind Superman and Lethal Weapon. Scrooged. It's like Robert Wise. It's just bizarre to me that the guy who gave us the world's most campiest superhero in Superman 1978, 2 years before that he made the incredibly dark and disturbing Omen.
Oh yeah. And I love I'm really big into like the creepy children subgenre of horror.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's like the ultimate classic in that genre.
Oh, definitely. It stopped an entire generation calling their children Damien.
Oh yeah. And then you like look up and you're like, oh, this guy made Goonies? What is this?
Yeah. And I mean Gregory Peck in The Omen just makes that film. He's incredible in it. I think that's what really sort of draws me into it above most of these. The perfect sort of father, you know, looking for the reasons why his son is behaving in this, should we say, devilish way.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to talk about another one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go, again, starting out with the big names. I'm gonna pick James Cameron.
Okay.
And I'm gonna talk about Aliens.
Aliens.
Yes, Aliens,
Okay.
1986 sequel. Maybe not necessarily everyone's favorite movie in the franchise, but he certainly went for it, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And a huge name to put on a huge franchise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, Aliens it's less of a horror than the first Alien was, but it's definitely got the elements there. And, I mean...
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm terrified, personally.
I mean, James Cameron, he's one of those that you really don't sort of... when you think about horror directors, you just wouldn't think of him at all. But then Aliens, and you think, yeah, the xenomorphs are really, really scary.
Oh yeah, I love the design that H.R. Geiger did for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just iconic. It's iconic. It is the definition of iconic, really.
And that's an iconic director for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Throw their name into there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, James Cameron, of course, he's known for his sci-fi, really. But, you know, with T2 and Avatar and stuff like that.
But definitely, like, Aliens is almost the perfect way for him to, like, dip his toe into horror while maintaining, like, the science fiction realm that he's comfortable with.
So, oh, yeah, definitely.
A good choice for him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Aliens is just... You know, it's a great movie. Everyone will tell you that. It's a really great one.
Well, who else you got?
I also have Danny Boyle down for 28 Days Later.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, the guy who made Trainspotting, you know, Slumdog Millionaire,
yeah.
127 Hours.
Yeah.
But then one of the best British horror films of the last 20 years, 28 Days Later.
So different.
I mean, it really is. You know, it gave us the whole sort of sprinting zombie.
Yeah.
You know, the virus zombie. And, yeah, I mean, I always liked the camera work in 28 Days Later. You know, it's really shaky at times when it needs to be, and it just creates that sort of chaotic atmosphere that just really works.
It's not overwhelming, though.
Oh, no, it's not like... I know some shaky cams can become like, you know, if you sat in a packed screening and you think, oh, God, no, I can't watch that any longer. But no, 28 Days Later is certainly not like that.
No. I also love Christopher Eccleston's appearance in that movie.
Yes. I have a... Christopher Eccleston actually went to the same university as me.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And I always like to tell people that.
Cool.
So did Sir Ben Kingsley, actually.
Oh, wow.
So there's another one.
Look at you.
I just like to tell people that. I don't know why.
But it's so nice because I did love him on Doctor Who so much.
Oh, yeah.
It was funny to kind of see him like as a dickhead in 28 Days Later.
Yeah. I mean, he really is. He's just horrible in that. He is evil in 28 Days Later.
For sure.
I mean, another thing I love Brendan Gleeson in 28 Days Later as well. The guy who played Mad Eye Moody in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Who isn't in it for long because he ends up getting infected. But
super memorable moment where he gets hit in the eye, right?
Yeah, and he just sort of, you know, he takes all of 10 seconds to go completely crazy.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's really, you know, to see, you know, me being English, to see England so, you know, desolate and, you know, there's no one there. It's quite... It hits harder to home more than most for me, even though I'm not from London or anything. But I know they do travel up north in the film.
For sure. That's a great movie. It's got a wonderful cast on there with Cillian Murphy as well.
Oh yeah, Naomi Harris as well, and who else is in it? I don't know who else is in it.
There's a lot of good people in that one. I'd have to look it up, but so many names.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
Well, since we're talking about London, I can actually segue into my next one if you don't mind.
Excellent.
And I'm gonna go with John Landis.
Yes.
He did An American Werewolf in London.
Yes, I mean, yes.
Obviously, he's known for his comedy with Animal House and the Blues Brothers and Coming to America.
Yeah.
And American Werewolf in London is awesome. It has one of the best transformation scenes of all time.
The best transformation scene for me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
one of my absolute favorites scenes in a horror movie, period.
Oh, yeah, definitely up there. I mean, John Landis, he definitely sort of inserted a bit of his usual comedy into American Werewolf. But, you know, it's kind of a horror comedy.
Yeah.
But for me, it's definitely more horror. I mean, the effects in that are just incredible for the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not Teen Wolf or something.
Oh, no, God, no. as great as Teen Wolf is. No, yeah, I didn't actually have John Landis on my list, so that's a good one. Thank you for mentioning him.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so we're maybe about halfway through this episode now, so I want to just say, if you are enjoying it, you can follow this podcast on Twitter, and that is at HorrorHouse Pod. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel for, you know, to see, you'll be the first to see when any new episodes come out or any new videos that may be on this channel. You can follow me at on Twitter at the Purple Don, or you can follow Kimber.
Yes, at SJ Plus Junkie with an IE at the end. Or you can also check out the show I do at Odd Shaped Panel on Twitter.
Yes, you can. That is an excellent show, and I know that well. That is a great show, great stuff that they're doing over at the Tough channel. So you can go and check that out on YouTube too, because Odd Shaped Panel is a great show.
We always like having you on there, Morgan, as well.
Yes, I know I've not been able to be on it for the past few weeks, but I should be on it for this next one. As we're recording this on the Friday, I should be on Mondays, so I should be able to get on that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I know it's hard with the time zones and everything. We get started late.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can stay up. I'm perfectly, yeah.
I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Okay, so let's move. Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I went with Jaws. Spielberg.
Nice.
Because I know we had a discussion the other day about Jurassic Park.
Yes, we
and
did.
Whether that should be considered a horror, and I don't really think it should, but you do.
I do. I think Jurassic Park is so much scarier than a lot of horror to me, because in a dystopian, nightmarish kind of way, I feel like that could be something that could actually happen because of the nature of humanity, and I think that that's what's scary to me about Jurassic Park.
Well, I mean, definitely, I can definitely agree it has elements of it in. I remember you likening it to Frankenstein, but with dinosaurs instead of people.
Yeah.
So,
like feeding a monster, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point. I definitely agree with that, but personally, I don't consider Jurassic Park an all-out horror, whereas Jaws, I definitely do. So, for me, that is Spielberg's one true horror. And I mean, from a guy that's done literally everything, he's probably the most well-known director, maybe in history. You know, Jaws is just...
You gotta give props to that John Williams soundtrack
of course.
on Jaws as well.
That's
so scary.
John Williams, Spielberg might get, accredited for directing it and all that, but John Williams really makes Jaws what it is with that score. It's one of the most iconic pieces of music in history. You can play it to anyone, young or old, and they'll go Jaws immediately.
It's right up there with like the piece of music from Psycho that everybody knows.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's what John Williams managed to scare people from going in the water with 2 notes.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, Jaws we have to thank for essentially creating the blockbuster film. Yeah. I mean, Jaws is it's just one of those films. It's difficult to describe how, well, for me at least, it's difficult to describe just how good it is, because it sort of, for me, it's almost become too iconic, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you say, like, John Williams scared everybody with 2 notes of music, and I feel like that is appropriate because that movie is so brilliant in its simplicity.
Yeah,
like, everything
definitely.
about it, like, barely showing the shark, like, all this beautiful, like, simple dialogue and character development, the soundtrack, like, everything is perfect in its simplicity.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean, the acting in Jaws is great too, Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw.
Yeah, no doubt.
Actually, I have another fact about linking my own life to actors. Robert Shaw is actually from the same small town I am.
Nice.
And we have...
It's all coming together today. Everything leads back to Morgan.
Well, apparently, so we actually have a local pub named after him.
Nice.
So there's another pointless Morgan fact.
Very cool. My next pick is going to have to be a director who I really liked their work recently with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
And I'm going to say James Gunn.
Okay.
James Gunn got his start at Troma. I'm sure you're familiar with Troma.
Yeah.
But he wrote Romeo and Juliet. And then his first movie that he actually directed was Slither.
Right. I don't know that much about James Gunn's history, but that's interesting because, you know, for most people he is, you know, the guy behind Guardians of the Galaxy now.
Yeah. And people don't think about Slither, which I thought that was kind of an underrated movie. It was campy, but I thought it was great, and again, not without charm. I thought it was different and fun and a cool first movie for James Gunn.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, people might pass off campy as dated and, you know, sort of things they don't want to watch, but I love campy stuff, as you well know.
I miss the camp. I feel like that there's a lack in campiness. Which
there's definitely
a
lack in
really
campiness.
Liked, have you seen Krampus?
No, I didn't. I was supposed to, and I never got round to actually seeing it.
Check out Krampus. If you like camp and you like funny movies, that movie was equally as scary as it was funny. The cast was great. Like, we went because we had some free tickets and we didn't expect it to be that great. That was such a great, like holiday fun horror movie. I think you would like that one. You should check it out.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember sort of reading up on it, seeing a couple reviews, you know, last Christmas when it did come out, and I told myself that I'd go and watch it, but I just never got round to doing it. So yeah, I'll check it out when it becomes available. Mind you, it's probably already available, isn't it? On
probably.
various
places.
places.
It's gonna be like really cheesy, but the makeup they did on that Krampus monster is unbelievable. Like, really cool practical effects, and just all the monsters are super cool designs. It was just like again like a really different movie. Like, it stood out with all this like kind of stale horror that comes out nowadays that seems like so just like pushing out movies to get people to buy tickets because horror is profitable and people will go.
Yeah.
This was such like a breath of fresh air, that Krampus movie. I know we're getting off subject, but everybody should go watch Krampus.
We can get off subject that's fine. Getting off subject isn't a problem. But yeah, I mean, Krampus, I did mean to go and see that, so anyone listening as well, take Kimber's recommendation and go and see Krampus, because camp is great, and there's a lot of overly serious horror these days, some of which is great, but some of which can just feel a bit pointless.
Oh yeah, I wish there weren't so many of the same. Like, I would definitely take a higher quality of horror movie over so many coming out that are not great, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why I loved The Witch this year.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh,
I really want to see that.
That's one. See, now the tables have turned.
Yeah, right?
The Witch is probably in my top 3 of the year so far.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that because I really wanted to see that one. I had recently watched Crimson Peak too, which a lot of people recommended to me.
Yes.
That took me too long to watch, but now I have to watch The Witch.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I think I remember seeing, like, as soon as it came out, it was very divided. It divided opinion. Some people called it, you know, incredibly dull and boring, and they didn't understand it because the way the actors speak are with sort of old English, thick Yorkshire accents. So I remember people, you know, sort of in the US having a bit of trouble understanding what they were saying.
Yeah, I don't think that would be too big of a problem for me.
Oh, I mean, no. That's...
People need to watch more British television because you guys have far superior shows going on there for the most part, and they will understand the accents better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure. But, The Witch was so different to what we're used to seeing from horror, these days, where it's,
Yeah, I've kind of heard that one was like a victim of being misadvertised as well.
Yeah, I do remember watching the trailer. The trailer was quite generic. It looked just like your standard horror that would have a few cheap scares in it. But it was a real slow burn. It had so much atmosphere to it, so much brooding intensity. And, it was good enough for me to buy a t-shirt of it.
Nice.
So, I only buy t-shirts of the best stuff.
Right. And Crimson Peak was another one that seemed misadvertised in its commercials too. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that one either. I mean, I may have slightly lacked on seeing films at the latter part of last year, sort of before Oscar season. But this year I've really sort of tried to ramp it up. But no, I didn't see Crimson Peak either. But I did hear that.
Well, that was a Del Toro. It was his most recent, and it was beautiful, no doubt. And I really did like Tom Hiddleston in that movie. It has a twist at the end that is kind of comes out of nowhere. They really surprised me, that's for sure. But was
it a good twist though, or was it like one of those twists that sort of tend to annoy people? It's a surprising twist,
and I could certainly see some people find it off-putting.
Right.
But it didn't bother me. I thought it was a good movie. I saw what he was doing. It's just the characters they created were so beautiful, and I've seen the practical makeup, and then I wish he hadn't thrown on top of that a bunch of computer generated effects, because to me they were almost better looking before all the effects.
Yeah, well, I mean that is the case with a lot of effects with me as well. I mean, I'm a great lover of practical stuff over CGI because
Tom Savini is my hero.
Tom Savini is a legend. Tom Savini is an incredible man, and he should have a star on the Walk of Fame.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I remember hearing people talk about Crimson Peak as more of a gothic romance than a horror.
It was both.
I think people may have expected more horror. I don't know.
Yes.
I think that's the same with The Witch as well.
Yes, that's why I brought up Crimson Peak, because I heard that The Witch was similar in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think people going into The Witch were expecting, a jump scary, generic horror, when it was just really sort of slow paced, and it was really intense. I mean, the acting in that film was incredible by some really small time actors, and the girl in The Witch, I remember talking about this in episode 1 of this podcast, actually. Her name is Anya Taylor-Joy, that's the actress. I think she'll go places in the genre if she carries on.
For sure, I'm glad to hear that movie's like that, because that sounds much better to me. I think that horror lacks that slow burn nowadays, like you're talking about. Like when you watch, I like a lot of foreign horror as well.
Yeah.
When you watch something like Dario Argento's Suspiria, for instance, it's all about building the tension and really drinking in the visuals of what's going on. And I wish that more people would get back to that type of aesthetic in movies nowadays with horror.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Suspiria is one of my all-time favourite foreign horrors, probably foreign films.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. We've got off on a bit of a nice tangent there, I think. Did you have another film you wanted to talk about?
I did. I was gonna bring up a director that's been getting some flack recently about his work, but I'm gonna go with Zack Snyder.
Okay.
Obviously, people know him from his work with the DC Cinematic Universe primarily nowadays, but back in 2004, he did a remake, which I don't typically like remakes, but I liked his remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Yes, I mean, Dawn of the Dead was probably one of the best remakes we've had in the past, in this sort of century, since 2000, because remakes of old classics, especially ones that are as revered as George Romero's original Dawn of the Dead, these remakes don't tend to go down particularly well. I mean, look at Rob Zombie's Halloween, for instance.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Snyder's Dawn of the Dead was actually surprisingly good. I mean, I'd only watched that a couple of years ago, but yeah, I mean, it was surprising to me how much I actually enjoyed it as a remake.
Yeah, I've been a fan of that one since it came out, and basically, I thought that, like you said, I'm not a huge fan of remakes in general, and I was just pleasantly surprised with that one, and they basically had me at Zombie Baby. I thought that was great.
I mean, zombies are... You can do anything with zombies, and you just throw a different style of zombie into a film, or a different sort of weird angle to zombies, and, it'll get people in.
It will, and that was a bit before the whole oversaturation of zombies trend.
Oh yeah, I mean,
before they were ahead of the curve.
We're definitely sort of starting to get sick of zombies now, I think. I mean, The Walking Dead tends to be a show that people love to hate now more than people love.
Yeah, that. I was a big fan of the graphic novels. I've never been a huge fan of the show, but it does seem like the fans on that show are starting to peter out a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, interesting you bring that up, actually, because, yeah, Zack Snyder, also known for, similarly to Peter Jackson, also known for these big CGI-ridden films now, 300 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you say, with the DCEU and Batman vs Superman and everything that had a little too much CGI in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Did you have any more?
Just let me check. I don't think I did, actually. I think we've mentioned all of mine. Did you have any more?
I have 3 more.
Oh well, you're clearly far more prepared than I am. That's great. Go ahead.
So,
take over.
Another one that I wanted to mention was Robert Zemeckis.
Okay.
He's known for doing Forrest Gump, Back to the Future, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
But he also did a movie called What Lies Beneath.
I haven't seen that, but I am familiar with the title.
That's another one that's kind of a slow burn and all about building tension, but it's a nice step out of his other work, and you should definitely check it out sometime. It's a unique movie. I'm going to start mentioning these a little quicker because I know we're running out of time.
Oh,
did we do
yeah,
Rob
no problem.
Reiner?
With Misery.
With Misery.
Yes, Rob Reiner should be on my list.
Yeah, he did Princess Bride with Harry Met Sally and Stand By Me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a guy that should be on my list.
Yeah, we were just talking about Misery. That's a classic for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Misery's it's so intense. It's another one that's just so intense and so, it's almost real life scary, as opposed to, Annie Wilkes is someone that could exist, and probably does exist somewhere.
And that's her best performance.
Oh, by far. I mean, rightly won the Oscar, I believe.
Yeah.
And, James Caan as well, should not be underplayed. He's great in that as well.
For sure. That's that's another just perfect movie and another great adaptation of Stephen King.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Stephen King. Is that 2 Stephen Kings we've now mentioned? Actually, one's just come to my mind. Brian De Palma with Carrie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the guy who was known for Scarface and The Untouchables.
Yeah.
You know,
totally a different.
Earlier
movie.
on, made Carrie.
Carrie's amazing.
Yeah, I love Carrie. I didn't watch Carrie that too long ago, actually. Yeah, I mean, Carrie is... It's one of those that doesn't become a horror until, like, halfway through.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of like those. I kind of like the sort of real, you know, twist in tone that some horrors can have, you know, partway through.
And the mother is the scariest part of the movie.
The mother is just horrific. The mother is probably the worst mother in film, or definitely up there.
She's on the list. Sure.
She's near the top of that list. I mean Piper Laurie, I think it is, who plays Margaret White. I mean, she gives an incredible performance there.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, Sissy Spacek as Carrie as well is, you know, plays the vulnerable, but then, you know, the sort of murderous, revenge-filled.
She has such a unique look as well. And
such a unique
look for that story.
Yeah, great sort of unconventional, almost eerie look.
Yeah.
Which just works really well with that iconic image of the blood.
Redone those movies because all the remakes of Carrie are terrible.
Oh yeah, don't bother with the remakes of Carrie. Watch the real one. 1976, I think.
Indeed. Well, I have one more director on my list here, and it's an interesting one.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring up Gore Verbinski.
Okay.
And he's mostly known for the Pirates of the Caribbean
franchise,
as well as The Mexican and Mouse Hunt.
But, did he do Mouse Hunt?
Mouse Hunt, yes.
Wow.
And on his list of films that he's done, he did The Ring.
Oh yes, he did. Wow, that
was a fairly successful remake of a foreign film.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I saw The Ring before I saw the original Japanese one. And so maybe that sort of ruined the whole sort of, is The Ring better than the original Ring?
Yeah.
For me, but
it's hard with that. Japanese horror is kind of so different. It's like own world.
Oh yeah.
And I like a lot of that stuff. I'm a fan of Takashi Miike.
Yes, big fan of Miike.
So good. And Audition is a really cool Japanese horror movie. If people haven't seen that, if you have the stomach for it.
Definitely. You definitely need the stomach for the last half hour of Audition. Because that is
she's so cute, that girl.
Horrible.
It's so amazing what they did with that. She's so cute, and you would never expect the movie to go that direction.
Oh no, I mean, that's another one I was just saying that just has that twisting tone that just shocks you, and you know, it keeps you just sat on the edge of your seat, just with a wide-eyed look of shock on your face, just at what is actually happening on the screen right now.
Yeah, they almost it's like Old Boy. There are certain movies that are hard to watch more than once.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have only watched Audition once, but after the whole cheese wire situation.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be going back to it anytime soon.
When she starts putting on that apron, you know she's gonna be putting in work, and it gets real scary.
I actually have an incredible fear of needles, so Audition isn't
That movie will
the best one for me.
Incredible Fear of Needles.
Oh, well. Yeah, definitely. But Gore Verbinski you were talking about, weren't you? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Gore Verbinski, The Ring, so different from, like, all the other movies that he's known for, like, these lighthearted, like, family movies, like Pirates of the Caribbean, and to go to The Ring, which is so, like, creepy.
Yeah, I mean...
And again, with the creepy child.
Yeah, I mean, that... You know, The Ring might be slightly dated for today's audience, even though it was only like 2002 or something like that, but mainly because it's, you know, entirely focused on videotape as opposed, which isn't something that maybe today's 16-year-olds will know a great deal about.
Yeah, I mean, personally, it being dated is not an issue for me. I know that you're a Vincent Price fan. And
I am
certainly, like,
a huge
all
Vincent
of
Price
his work
fan.
is dated, but I'm fine with it.
Oh yeah.
The Ring does deserve respect, though, for being, like, kind of the first to usher in this, like, let's remake foreign horror movies into American movies for an American audience.
Yeah, I mean, and just because that first one was... Like, just because that first one was great doesn't mean the rest of it is.
Yeah, and then, like, even with, like, Let the Right One In and stuff being remade, it really started a trend with that. Yeah,
I mean, Let the Right One In was one that... I thought Let Me In, the remake, was actually a pretty good one. I mean...
Yeah, a lot of people really like that.
It isn't. For me, I do prefer the original Swedish one.
Usually the case.
Yeah, pretty much always the case. But yeah, I mean, The Ring definitely, did start off that on again, off again trend that, you know, hit and miss. But The Ring is certainly a hit in that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, that looks like we're just about wrapped up, I think. Did you have any more?
No, that was all of mine.
Okay, great. Did you have anything you wanted to say at the end now?
Sure, I'll just plug my show one more time.
Definitely, go ahead.
Me and my partner Tom do a show called Odd Shape Panel on blab.im at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Monday nights. I have no idea what time that is there, though, Morgan. You're going to have to help me out.
That is 2 a.m.
At 2 a.m.
2 a.m. British standard, British summertime.
Whew. It's very late, but if you can ever pop by, it's an open pop culture discussion show, and we have different subjects every week, and you can call in and talk to us about them.
This week is video games, isn't it?
Indeed.
Yes, so if you are, by any chance, a gamer, I'm sure, and you are listening to this in Britain, and you can stay up till 2 a.m. on Monday night, call into Odd Shape Panel. Follow them on Twitter as well, at Odd Shape Panel. Is that right?
And if you can't stay up late, I don't blame you, because that is quite late. We do post the episodes about a week later on YouTube at the Tough channel, the Underground Fan Fights channel on YouTube. So you can check Unofficial Fan Fights.
Yeah.
Sorry. And you can check out the prior episodes there. We edit them down to a shorter video and add clips, and they're pretty fun. So if you can't stay up late, you can at least check out the show.
Oh yeah, definitely. Check out that show. It is a great show. Follow Kimber.
We've had Morgan on there as well.
Yes, I have been on a single episode, but I will definitely be on more in the upcoming weeks, months, however long. And you can follow Kimber on Twitter as well, at SJ+Junkie. Right? Yeah?
Correct.
Or you can follow me on Twitter, at The Purple Don. Follow this podcast if you enjoyed, at HorrorHouse Pod. Subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos and podcasts and all that stuff. Thank you again for listening. I've enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I did too, and thank you so much for having me. If you ever want me back, I'd be delighted.
Oh, well, that's great. That's great. Thanks for being here. Thanks for agreeing to do this. And thanks for listening, guys. Goodbye.
See you guys later.